With the Senate majority in hand, President-elect Trump's cabinet nominees shouldn't have a tough road to confirmation, although we have seen some challenges lie ahead for at least one. Republican strategist Katie Frost worked on Senator Ted Cruz's presidential campaign, among others. She's up late with me tonight here on the Final Five to talk about that and more. First of all, welcome to the show. Good to see you. How's it going in Atlanta tonight?
Going good. We're excited because we have our former Senator Kelly Loeffler was just appointed to President Trump's cabinet. She's going to be the new SBA administrator. So Georgia's going to be very well represented in the new cabinet, and we're excited. And what we've seen about Georgia is, for all the talk that it was going in one direction, clearly it is a state where Republicans have a hold on the voters and on the electorate, with Governor Brian Kemp likely going to have a good future in this political climate. But forget about that. Let's talk about what we're seeing right now here on Capitol Hill. Confirmation hearings are still a couple of weeks away. Some of the president-elect's picks have gotten praise, like Marco Rubio for Secretary of State. Pete Hegseth, though, has been on the minds of a lot of people with the controversy surrounding him. Was this a good choice on the part of the president-elect? Well, I think this is very important to see how the process plays out. It's why we have this process in place. Senator Rubio, of course, I expected him to get a good response, an easy confirmation. These are his colleagues we're talking about. And if you look at the nominees the president's put forward, a lot of them are very standard, traditional nominees, senators, governors, members of Congress, and then you have some who maybe are a little more unexpected, like a Pete Hegseth, someone who comes from a background relating to that area, being a veteran, advocating for veterans issues, but also had an career in the media. He's someone who's going to bring a different approach to the Department of Defense, which many people would say is desperately needed. I think you're going to see a lot of people coming in with this administration, President Trump, who are going to take a different approach because that's what the American people voted for. They didn't want business as usual, so you're not going to get every single pick is going to be standard, run-of-the-mill, business as usual.
And I think that's one thing that if you're in the opposition, in the case of the Democrats, you have to accept the fact that you can say what you want about nominees. The president likely has the votes for most of these, and it is his purview to pick who he wants in his cabinet. But we've talked a lot about the controversies that envelop Mr. Hegseth over recent weeks. There have been the allegations against him in many ways, different ways, shapes, and forms. His mother has gone on the record saying that this email that she wrote about his conduct years ago does not reflect who he is now. But does that take up too much of the oxygen?
It's going to take up too much oxygen, honestly. I think what we need to see is, like, Senator Katie Barrett of Alabama met with Mr. Hegseth today, and after that meeting, she said he has her support. He's able to go to Capitol Hill, meet with these senators, answer their questions, and he is shoring up support. There's been a lot of unnamed sources and a lot of people trying to go out there and undermine him, but he is fighting back, and I think we're going to see him actually. I think he'll get confirmed.
Yeah, and obviously he continues those meetings, and that's crucial. We see this for every nominee. There was a lot of talk as well, though, which ended very quickly over the Attorney General nominee of Matt Gaetz. That was pulled. You said Katie Britt, and I was thinking about Pam Bondi was put into place there. In terms of her nomination, somebody who's been loyal to President-elect Trump, but somebody who it seems is getting a lot of favorable reaction on the Hill as well.
Well, you look at someone like Pam Bondi, and she was Attorney General of a large state, and she was Attorney General in Florida when it was still very much a swing state. People may now remember, before Governor DeSantis and several terms before that, Florida was very much a swing state. It was the state that we were all focusing on when it came to presidential elections. And she won statewide in that environment twice. She is someone who has a lot of experience. So she's very much the kind of pick I would expect from not just President Trump, but even a Nikki Haley. An attorney general of a large state makes absolute sense for an attorney general. But listen, the Senate confirmation process can be brutal. I joke that if you want every single thing you've ever done to be made public, you can either have a Senate confirmation hearing, or you can try to date my baby sister, because I will find out every single thing about you before you take her out.
Last thing I want to ask you before we go, Mike Johnson will more likely than not have that gavel once again as Speaker. The only place where we saw the majority slim just a little bit by one seat. Is he going to be able to get his caucus in line going into what's going to be some crucial votes in the House come January?
You know, I will say the Republican Party is more united than ever. We are so energized. The theme I keep hearing from all of my friends is we are so back. And there's this enthusiasm and energy that I've never seen, frankly, in all my over a decade in politics. So I think you're going to see everyone very excited about working together to deliver for the American people. President Trump has a huge mandate to govern. And so not only is Mike Johnson going to be able to get the caucus in line, but President Trump will also be playing a big role in that.
Katie Frost joining us here on the Final Five tonight. Katie, great to meet you.
Great to be with you.